Thanks, Ciaran Corla, and thanks a lot to Sinn Féin for bringing forward this motion. There has been a lot of talk about watershed moments, and I agree that this moment has the potential to be a watershed moment. It can be a watershed moment, and it must be a watershed moment. And what struck me last week, attending the vigil outside the Dáil, is that often you go to large assemblies and they're powerful. And they're powerful partly because people are shouting and making noise and so on. But what was so powerful about the vigil last week was the silence. There was just a very, very profound, long silence as people just flooded up. Like there must have been 10,000 people in front of the Dáil on an evening after work. And it was a silence which was pregnant with obviously a deep sorrow for Aisling Murphy, for the hundreds of women who have been killed by men since 1996, 244, with compassion for Aisling's family, friends, wider community. But I also felt with anger at a society that perpetuates sexism, misogyny, which allows this sort of violence by men against women to persist and continue over and over. And the same struck me in Tala later on that evening, and then you have that replicated across the country, tens of thousands of people who really have the potential to force a change on this issue. And the bottom line is that it is past time to recognise that violence against women, as it's often referred to, is perpetuated by men, and that it is men and the unequal economic and social structures and power dynamics of capitalism that perpetuate male dominance over women. And they will have to change if we're to end the scourge of male violence against women. I want to just focus in my remaining time on one particular aspect, which is the question of objective sex education. Because if we can't start by teaching children in an age-appropriate way at primary and secondary school, basic objective sex education, factual, consent-based and focused, LGBTQ plus positive, well then we really aren't going anywhere. If we're ever to have a chance of changing the misogynistic and sexist attitudes that perpetuate male violence, then we absolutely need to have objective sex education. But the bill was passed, it was proposed by Solidarity, People Before Profit 4 years ago. It was passed at second stage, and since then it has languished in the Bermuda Triangle between second stage and committee stage. Since then, the Catholic bishops have come out and said, they've come out with a new syllabus saying that the Church's teaching in relation to marriage between a man and a woman cannot be omitted when discussing LGBT issues. And the minister said, there was then Minister McHugh, said the ethos of the school is central to any curriculum. The Taoiseach earlier on responded very positively to Deputy Smith's question, that's welcome, saying yes, we need to deal with that. But then he suggested the main issue is training the teachers. The central issue is the ethos. If we don't challenge the fact that the ethos can stand in the way of the delivery of objective sex education, you can have the best curriculum in the world, you can have the best training of the teachers in the world, you cannot guarantee that people get the objective sex education that they need to get.